Let's head to the UK now. The elections, outcome of the elections and what it reflects or what it tells us about the cost of living in the UK is what we're excited to hear from Juliana. Juliana is joining us from Westminster. Hello, Juliana. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Innie, from Westminster. I'm just outside Parliament now.
Yeah, so what's the outcome of the election? How are the results looking? What does it tell us?
Well, going into the election, I think a lot of people were saying that this was a referendum on the tenure of Prime Minister Boris Johnson leading up to the campaign. We didn't really hear much about levelling up, which was a big manifesto pledge. It was already really dominated by Partygate and scandal upon scandal. And I think the Labour Party, led by Sir Keir Starmer, were hoping that they would be able to gain some significant strongholds because of the despair of the British public. But it doesn't appear to have been reflected that way. Yes, there have been some significant losses from the Conservative Party in London. London has always been a left-leaning city, but it is the commercial hub, so it does have some importance to the Conservative Party, particularly as most of them that sit in the benches just behind me in Westminster live here in London. I actually do have somebody to speak with right now who we've bumped into, Femi Oluwale. This gentleman is going to be known not only by members of the public here in the UK, but of course sometimes his commentary does send tingles down the spine, shall we say, of some MPs here in the UK, and I'd like to get his perspective if I could, Innie. Firstly, lots of people, Femi, were saying that the Labour Party should have taken more seats. What's your initial response to some of the results that we've had so far?
I think there was always going to be a degree of loss from the Conservatives, given that people are really struggling right now with the cost of living. People are having to choose between heating their homes, feeding their kids, fueling their cars, and what they want to know is that the government cares about them. And Partygate was a real sign that the government doesn't actually care at all. And so I think that would explain some of the losses. Why Labour hasn't done so as well as they could have potentially done is because Keir Starmer hasn't been particularly clear as to what his vision for the UK is going to be moving forward. And so we've seen things like 83% of Labour members want him to support proportional representation, but he's been silent on that. We've seen lots of calls, lots of his failure to stick to some certain manifesto pledges in terms of his leadership election, and so there's a lot of distrust there.
Very briefly as well, Innie, I'm not sure if you have seen this breaking news, but Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, will now be investigated by Durham police over, I think the press here in Britain are calling it Beergate. I'll just quickly get a response from Femi whilst he's here on that. I know you haven't had much time to look at that headline, but a significant development.
It's definitely significant that they're investigating. We'll see whether or not there'll be anything that comes of that, but I would still think that this is still one event compared to the 18 that we know took place in Downing Street. So there'd be a danger of having a false equivalent between the two of them.
Okay, thank you so much, Femi Oluwale. Thank you, Innie and the business team, for allowing that impromptu interview. Over to you in the studio.
Yeah, thank you so much, Juliana. You certainly have a lot of stories to chase out there, and we'll get it into the programs in our subsequent conversation. Thank you so much, and well done.